So what is up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. My name is Josh, and today we are going to be going back through all the stuff that we need to complete for this Light Bee build. If you have paid attention to any of the videos so far in this series, it's been about tearing a Light Bee down, completely taking apart the wiring harness, cleaning every single piece and component, and getting it put back together so we can place this Light Bee on Marketplace. So today I'm going to walk you through where we're at. In the last video, we had the wiring harness torn to shreds. Everything was out of the bike, but we have since got the wiring harness back in, and now it's just the mechanical stuff that we're putting back together. We've already connected everything, tested everything, and make sure it works, but I want to give you the final walkthrough of what we're going to do and how this bike is going to look before we put it on Marketplace. All right, so since the last video, I'm not going to tell you that Cody's workstation has gotten any better. We are currently working on a professionally designed wiring harness where you'll be able to run any type of light that you want to run, whether that's Baja Designs, some light off of Amazon, Rigid, whatever it is. What we have mounted on the bike right now is the Baja Design Squadron Sport. These lights are fantastic. This has the amber lens. This also comes with the white lens, but we have not released the bracket yet. We're doing some R&D. We got some metal work that's taking place, but this will be a kit that you can use for any light, no matter what, and you don't have to pay an arm and a leg just to have this light if you don't want this light. So Cody is currently MIA. He's taking a phone call, but while he is doing that, I can kind of show you a little bit about what we did on the wiring. So in the neck of the bike here, we really tried to reduce and minimize everything that we could to make this as clean as possible, because when you add your switch, you also have a new wire for your light that is bigger than the old wire. So you have more stuff going on, and trying to get it in through this groove was a little difficult. So what we did is we decided to take some of the wire from the switch itself and run it down through the neck to come in here behind the horn. That gives us a lot more space where the wires connect right here, and they kind of all sit behind the plate where your ignition is. So it was getting really, really tight, and it was just a mess when we were putting it together. So now, once we get all of that together, this is not a good demonstration, but I will show you everything kind of sits down in there in a much better fashion. That looks terrible. I swear it's better than that, but that's what you get for right now. So then let's talk about the bike itself. We have your rear subframe already put back on. The shock is already in. You've already seen that. We have the axle we're about to put on. And what we did here is we also did a fresh brake change. So we're going to bleed the brakes, put some new mineral oil in there, but we put in copper sintered pads in the front and rear. That way, whoever gets this bike has a fresh set of brakes, because even only after 300 miles, these bikes still take a beating, especially the brake pads. And if you're using ceramic brake pads, they may be quieter while you're stopping, but they're not as powerful and they don't last as long. Now over here, what we have is a 52 tooth sprocket going up from a stock 48 tooth sprocket. That is going to require that we put on a different chain, because obviously the sprocket size is bigger. We are going with a Renthal 420 chain. I would recommend a Renthal 420 chain no matter what you're doing back here, just because it's really one of the best chains that you can get. But this 52 tooth should give us some power back from the 48 that was on it. Once we put the bigger tires and wheels on there, we did lose a little bit of that pep that we're all used to. And the discs up front, we did not touch. These are the factory rotors. We didn't feel that there was a need to touch them now that the brake pads have been replaced. We're going to test it, make sure that everything is still solid before we put this thing on Marketplace. But overall, this bike has come together really well, and it's only taken us 3 days to go from a completely torn apart bike to where we're at now. So the last thing I want to touch on real quick is our light bracket. Now this bracket itself right now is made out of plastic. This is not going to be the final version, but this is the one that we're using right now. And the KKE stem and the risers sit on top of our light mount. So that actually gives these bars a little bit more of a rise, and the KKE bar mount actually pushes them towards the front of the bike and brings them up. So I'm pretty interested to see exactly how this performs in comparison to the Absolute Factory, where it kind of sits back here and they're a lot lower. It's not a really comfortable riding position. I think this is going to make the bike feel bigger than it really is, which is always a good thing. And ladies and gentlemen, Cody is back. Okay, so he's working on all that. What we're going to do now is we're going to put this thing back together. It should only take us a couple of minutes. We'll make it pretty quick for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and then we'll get you on your way so you can go watch other videos on YouTube today. So why would we put anti-seize on an axle, Cody?
It's in the name.
So you don't want it to seize?
You don't want it to seize.
Is grease not good enough?
No, it's not.
Really?
No.
Well, that's news to me.
No, grease is not good enough. Anti-seize is what it is. So anti-seize has like a temperature rating like that's really high. Grease does not. So when your wheel is spinning on this axle, grease will burn off to where anti-seize won't. And depending on like how hard you ride, how far, whatever, if all the grease is gone, you can run the risk of like seizing this up, like basically like friction welding it to your hub.
So I just asked him, is greasing it on a regular basis good enough? And he said yes and no. So here's the thing. If you don't have anti-seize, make sure you're greasing your rear axle regularly. And if you can, use anti-seize.
Yeah, I 100% recommend only using anti-seize. That's my recommendation. Yeah, that's my recommendation.
So if you want to talk about an absolute botch of the situation, this plate goes between the battery and your shock and your motor, and it's basically just a plate to keep stuff from getting in there. It's not really that special. I would say it's not that important, but that's probably a lie. So now we have to figure out how to unscrew these little, oh, he's got it, these little Phillips heads, and then get this fit back down in there and get it retightened. So, pro tip, don't do this. Make sure that you put this back in before you reassemble the whole rear of the bike. It's not that it's impossible. You'd make your life a lot easier if you just do it ahead of time. Oh my goodness.
It's a 5. And I think the 5 is slightly bigger, like slightly longer.
I want to bet you that, I don't know, you're wrong, and I'm right. That's enough for me. I don't need to make money on it. So you say it's a 12, I say it's a 10. Okay. And you're certified and I'm not.
And look, and I'm going to bring what it actually is.
Okay. All right. What do you think it is actually then?
A 14.
No way. It's not even worth me going under there for that. It's a 10.
Is it? What the fuck?
He's certified. I'm not even certified.
That's crazy.
I tried to tell him. All right, so that took a turn in more than one direction. But Cody came up with a genius idea that we're going to work on. It's going to be a new product that will be really fun. Not going to tell you anything about it today, but this is where the light is now. We've taken all of this off. It is now fixed right here, up under a little bit, not all the way in here. You're still able to get to all of your stuff. So that's it for today. We were going to get further. Next video, we're going to go through all the torque specs. Cody's going to go through and I'm going to film it, and we are going to torque every single thing down. We're going to go over each and every torque spec for you, get the battery in, get the lights on, get this thing running, take it for a test drive. You going to do a wheelie?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll see you on the next one.